Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
CL here with you, the weekend show. Welcome aboard. We're at the gateway to, I hope, a really safe and happy weekend for everybody throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known, and that will be America. I want to let you know, phone silent. Yeah, phone. So don't you hate it when that happens? You're about to do something and the phone rings. But folks, it has been an incredible ride from last Friday to this Friday. And we're going to talk about that here coming up in this next segment. I am C.L. Bryant, and again, welcome to the C.L. Bryant Show before we were so rudely interrupted by that phone ringing. You folks in southern Arkansas, East Texas, as well as over in Wilmington, North Carolina, I want to thank you all for being a part of our show and inviting us into your homes so warmly there. We're very popular in Wilmington, and I thank thank God for that. And I want to thank each and every one of you here in the Jewel cities and the Arklatex area that have made us a very, very, very popular and well listened to show. There's very few places that I can go publicly these days that someone doesn't stop me and say, hey, you're doing a good job. And folks, I really, really do appreciate that. And all of our sponsors out there who have sponsored the show for a long time, and even our new sponsors who are just coming on, understand that there are people who really do appreciate the work that you are sponsoring. I want to look at not the first 100 days of this administration. Let's look at the first 100 hours. Yeah. The first 100 hours of this administration have been extraordinary. Everyone, even liberals, are saying that they've never seen an administration hit the ground running like this administration has hit the ground running. You have the British Prime Minister who came in yesterday and met with the Donald. You have the Mexican president who I think he's still going to come. He may not, but I think he's still going to come. You've had union leaders. You've had CEOs of corporations coming in and meeting with the Donald. You've had the stock market soaring. And I do believe that is because it has bumped because of Trump, I say. The Dow has bumped because of Trump, and so has the Nikkei and everything else around the country, around the world. Has received a bump because of a new spirit of doing business in America. And I think that is because of Donald Trump. I think even the shiver and the fear of a new sheriff being in town is affecting the psyche of criminals in this country right now, which is an absolute good thing. For too long, we have pandered to the criminal class in this country. You know it's true. For too long, we have pandered to the criminal class in this country, thus creating an atmosphere where crime can indeed flourish and persist. In fact, crime, folks, had become the alternative to working, and it always has been, but I'm talking about on a larger scale for young people who feel that there is no hope. And you got to understand something. There are too many young people who have become victims of, they are not going to let me. And maybe you're not hearing what I'm saying. They are standing in my way. They don't want me to do that. And it always blows my mind how that can be the mantra in this country when you have the whole world in your hands by way of smartphones. There is no information that is not available to you. So if the information is available to you, you have the knowledge. And if you have the get up and go, the gumption, then you can turn that knowledge into the power that drives you to success. If, in fact, you're not waiting for somebody, some nameless, faceless individual to give you something. You have it within your hands. And if you can't afford a smartphone, the library is free. But they are standing in your way. No, if anything has been proven to us, not the first 100 days of this administration, but the first 100 hours of this administration shows Americans that we are still a can-do country. We are a country that can get things done if, in fact, we have the desire to do it. We have the ability. As Americans, there is no question that we have the ability. But do we have the desire? And for the individuals, for the students, and for those of you who may have fallen off the horse and or don't know whether or not you want to get back on, let me tell you something. The third key to success is a personal need to succeed. Personal need to succeed. We're going to be talking to K. Carl Smith coming up, who is the founder of what has become known as Frederick Douglass Republicans. K. Carl recently has been on the attack on the march against people like Spike Lee, people who, and Hollywood elite types who actually go after conservatives, black conservatives in particular, for supporting Donald Trump. We're going to talk about that after the next break. After the next break, we're going to bring on K. Carl Smith. I'm CL. Don't you go anywhere. You're going to have a great show. Right back. CL, back with you on this weekend show. It is the gateway to the weekend, which is always a gateway to the holiday. That means Holy Day, in case you didn't know. Sunday is on its way. And I encourage each and every one of you to be sure to attend the church of your choice this weekend. Check it out. Holiday. Holy Day. That's what it's all about. They try to wipe out the word Christmas and all this kind of stuff in our country, but yet you use the root of Holy Day, or you use a word that is offshoot of the root of Holy Day, holiday. Every weekend is leading to a holy day, okay, a holiday. Anyway, it's enough semantics and so forth. Listen, we were talking about the greatness of America, and it certainly is a great place, and you know it. You know it. And we're going to be talking to K. Carl Smith in our next segment, because the liberals are just absolutely foaming at the mouth. They don't know what to do with themselves, and that's okay. They don't know what to do themselves, but that's okay. I told you yesterday that even though the administration has only been up and running a little over 100 hours. The new administration, the new president, has only been up and running a little over 100 hours officially, starting last Monday. We are seeing an attitude in America that does, in fact, divide the country right down the middle. It really does. Because when I look at the two Americas, and there are two Americas, there really are at this point in time. I thought, well, hey, that is some kind of myth, but it is not. There are two Americas that are being birthed right now. And one is that America that is beaming and bursting with optimism. And then there is that America that is being directed by the Hollywood elitist, the America that does want to say to those who have been kept in the shadows for so long, they do not want you to come out, and they are going to create any type of situation that they can create to keep you in the shadows. Now, that orchestration is certainly something that is directed at this new administration. And the same old adages, and you heard the clip that I played last night, the white woman running for DNC chair. What does she do? She tells America, she tells the DNC that it's going to be my job to shut down white people who are saying they understand you. I don't understand you. She was pandering. And that's what I'm saying. This is what has happened over and over in this country. There has been a pandering. But as long as they do that, and I hope they continue, I hope Democrats continue to pander and continue to speak that same old that they have been speaking over 50 or 60 years, because I am convinced that if they do, they will continue to lose, because America is tired of that. There's a new sheriff in town, and even though there has been a brainwashing that has gone on our college campuses, I am telling you that the antidote to the blood poisoning of the American in this American bloodstream is the truth of what we can do, the truth of who we can be, and the opportunity that is available to us as Americans. And we're tired of folks telling us what America can't do. We're not Americans. Are you hearing me? We're not Americans. We're Americans. We can do it. We can live together. We can get past the atrocities even of our past. We can, of course, be a bright and shining light. Do you know how I know we can be? It's because we always have been. Even in our darkest moments, we always have been. We have been the saviors of civilization. We always have been. This has been the place where people came to be refreshed and restored and find liberty and freedom in America. They became Americans because liberty and freedom given to us by our Creator, according to our founding documents, is what gave us the can do in this country. And so I really do hope that that these Democrats continue to do what they did in this last election cycle. Because if they continue to do what they did in this last election cycle, they, my friends, will continue to lose. And the sure brainwashing that has taken place in the minds of so many of our young people, and even in the minds of borderline progressive liberals, I believe there's a cure for it. There is a cure for it. It can be reversed, and it's going to take you, men and women of courage, to step forward and actually do what you have done for the last 8 years, and that is rail against the machine that was Nancy Pelosi, that was Harry Reid. And as the former CEO of FreedomWorks used to say, Matt Kibbe, my good friend Matt Kibbe, he used to say these words, and I'm going to tell you again, and this is why I often quote Thomas Jefferson when he said, the price of our liberty will be eternal vigilance. Matt Kibbe said these words, hey, in order to defeat the Democrats, sometimes we have to defeat the Republicans. I'll say it again. In order to defeat the Democrats, sometimes you have to defeat first the Republicans. That's exactly what DJT did. We got them both on the ropes. We got America on the way back. I'm CL. Don't go anywhere. Be right back with K. Carl Smith. CL, back with you here on the weekend show. I want to welcome all of you throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known. Particularly, I want to welcome aboard our friends in Wilmington, North Carolina. Thank you for bringing us into your bosoms, and there in southern Arkansas and East Texas, throughout the Gulf Coast of the United States. I want to thank all of you for coming along on this journey. Phoenix, Denver, as well as our friends in Pittsburgh. We're coming to you soon with the show. And I want to thank all of our sponsors for being there with us as we have become one of the most popular talk shows in our region. On the line with me now is someone I met several years ago when we were doing the film Runaway Slave. He is a very important part of that film. He is the founder of Frederick Douglass Republicans. He is a shaker and mover throughout the United States. Help me welcome my good friend K. Carl Smith back to the CL Bryant Show. How have you been, man?
I'm doing great, my friend CL Bryant. Great to be with you again.
Well, K. Carl, I see that you have been doing some shaking and moving here lately. You have been actually on the trail of those who would try to run down folks who would support the new president. Tell us about your latest endeavors in shaking the trees of people like Spike Lee and those kind of guys.
Well, it's really sad that I have to be doing this, CL, because we have a situation here. We have black liberals or black Democrats who are attacking other blacks who voted Republican or voted for a Republican president. And I say it's sad because as I really give this thing some thought, CL, this is what the KKK did to blacks in the 1800s. Remember when the KKK was started by the Democrats to go in the black community and terrorizing blacks, had public floggings, and threatening them with life if they voted Republican.
Yeah,
it's no different.
It is no different.
It's sad. I had to comment on that, but that's what's happening now. That we have blacks either willingly or unwillingly become pawns now of white liberals.
And that, K. Carl, is the price.
That
is the price that you and I have paid over a long period of time for running away from that oppressive system. Call it a plantation, call it whatever we want, but it was an oppressive system. And the overseers, like your Al Sharptons, your Spike Lees, your Hollywood elitist, even if you're white, and you just dare to vote for someone outside of what they think you should be voting for, you're going to have to pay a price. But let me ask you this. Is there something that has changed? Is there an attitude change, a shift in attitude that's going on in this country? Are you seeing that happen now that we have this new administration?
That's a very good question. If there's a shift, it's very mild because the shift I'm talking about, blacks now who really want to vote their conservative values and embrace that philosophy, they're really, I thought they were coming out of the closet, so to speak, but they kind of keep a foot in the closet because of these public attacks of Spike Lee, D.L. Hughley. They attack Steve Harvey, Jim Brown, Kanye West. I'm still a hesitation because people don't want to go through that type of social humiliation and ridicule. But
go ahead.
But that is still low-hanging fruit. That is low-hanging fruit that we got to go after.
You said something very important because I'll tell you why. Steve Harvey seemed to be hot to go. Kanye seemed to be hot to go. Jim Brown seemingly was hot to go. Even Ray Lewis was seemingly hot to go. Since they actually appeared with Trump, guess what? You have not heard one more peep out of them. They have been silent. Steve Harvey actually said, I'm not used to this. Steve Harvey's used to being beloved. He's not used to this. And it's really something tough to get used to.
Well, what has to happen, conservatives in general need to learn how to inoculate themselves against this vicious and vile attacks of the left-wing propaganda machine. And my answer is CL, you got to cloak yourself with Frederick Douglass. Let him be your mouthpiece and help you articulate your conservative values. And that's how you take control of the narrative.
And you know what? You have been touting that for years now. And, of course, Frederick Douglass is one of my modern-day heroes. One of the reasons why I wear my hair in the fashion that I wear it is because of Frederick Douglass. But he was a runaway slave himself. That's Frederick Douglass, most people don't realize it, was self-taught. He was basically illiterate. You tell the story about how even in England, when he went over there to talk, he was so eloquent that he actually had to show them the tree, as they call it, on his back. That's the whiplashes on his back to prove that he'd ever been a slave. That's amazing that even that model, down through the years, 150 years later, still works. Tell us a little bit more about Frederick Douglass Republicans.
Well, it works, CL, because Douglass wrote a lot. He wrote a lot of things. Not only did he write 3 autobiographies, but Douglass wrote about school choice. He wrote about immigration. He wrote about the importance of free speech, personal responsibility. He wrote about the limited power of government. All these, quote-unquote, conservative values that he embraced, but not only he embraced them, he lived through them. He adopted it in his life to help improve his quality of life. Here is a man, if you look and say that what I like about Frederick Douglass, because he overcame the adversities of being a slave for 20 years and died with $300,000 in savings, which is more than over $10 million today. No American today can out-victimize the man. So his life is very inspiring, but his writings are informative. it is through the writings of Frederick Douglass that we can refute the lies and false rhetoric of the left. You can't do it without Douglass, because Douglass, he is Teflon when it comes to playing a race card on him.
You know, you're
He was a
absolutely
victim
right.
of racism.
You're absolutely right. We shot some of the film at the Frederick Douglass house there in Maryland. And one of the sad things about it's a joyous thing that it's still there, but one of the sad things about it is that the Douglass house is surrounded by low income. It's almost a ghetto that surrounds that surrounds the Douglass house. It's a historic house. It is a national monument, but yet it is surrounded basically by the ghetto. And this is what I had wanted to ask you about. Now, I've always been curious about this, K. Carl. I have my own take on it, but I want to hear your take on it. Why is it when we come to Black History Month, as it's coming up here next week, it begins next week, why is it when we come to Black History Month, two names that we never hear is Booker T. Washington in prominence or Frederick Douglass? I want you to answer that, give some thought to that on the other side of the break. We're going to be back with K. Carl Smith, founder of Frederick Douglass Republicans. Hey, if you haven't had a chance to check him out, it's going to give you the website in just a few minutes. Don't go away. Stay with me through the break. I'm back with K. Carl Smith. CL, The Weekend Show. Want to welcome you back, broadcasting live from the jeweled cities of the Arklatex, Shreveport, and Bossier. I'm your homeboy, your native son here, and of course, we're streaming live throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known, and that is America. We're on with another of our native sons. His name is K. Carl Smith. He hails from Alabama. I just came through there just last week, K. Carl.
And you didn't holler at me?
Man, I was on the run. We were doing the content of caricature from North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and through Alabama, and through parts of Alabama. But I certainly will. I'll talk to you about how we can hook up here in this coming year. K. Carl, I had asked you a question when we left, and by the way, tell us about your website. How can people get a hold of your thoughts and premise of what Frederick Douglass is about?
Okay, I asked that question you asked before the break. Let me just give you two main reasons why that's the case. You don't hear about Frederick Douglass, Booker T. Washington. Number one, when you read their writings, they didn't buy into the victimization mentality. They believe that, hey, we're more than conquerors. We're not victims, number one. So that's not the narrative of the left. The other thing is very obvious, that they were Republicans. That again go against the narrative of the left. What we're doing right now, CL, and I'm glad you asked that question, just earlier this week, what I realized, because the relentless and callous use of the race card by the left in recent weeks, I just opened up I'm giving away free access to my Frederick Douglass Republican Engagement Strategy mini course. I just opened it up this week. It is a free video series mini course where I'm teaching conservatives how to take control of the narrative, how to trump the race card, pun intended, and how to do that. So because until we take control of the narrative and win the propaganda battle, our message of liberty and free market principle never resonate, because we're always on the defense. So the question is, how can we get on the offense by trumping the race card, beating the left's propaganda machine, and start taking control of the narrative to change hearts and minds? So if you go to my website, diversityengagement.org, diversityengagement.org, and go ahead and enroll in that free online course, and you get four videos that will let you know how to do it. and it's you and I one-on-one going through this whole thing of how to take control of the narrative, how to win the propaganda battle, but most importantly, how to inoculate yourself against the vile and the malicious attacks of the left-wing propaganda machine.
That's diversityengagement.com. Was that or .org?
.org. Diversityengagement.org.
Diversityengagement.org. Diversityengagement.org. Folks, go there, check it out. I tell you, I have always been impressed by K. Carl Smith and the work that he diligently does. He is truly a warrior, and the approach is incredibly different than you may have tried in the past. And I do think that it is something that will help us to create the antidote for the brainwashing, the thorough brainwashing that has gone on in our young people. As you know, as you know, we do our very best to bring you the best minds, the best methods to that on this show. And K. Carl, you've got to come back and be with me more often. Now, as we head down the road with this Trump administration, at the very top of the show, I was talking about how we talk about the first 100 days of an administration, but man, the first 100 hours of the Trump administration has been something, I think, of a whirlwind. Do you believe that for such a time as this, as Scripture may tell us with Esther, do you believe that he may be our stay of execution from being overrun as a country, as a progressive liberals were trying to do? What do you think about it?
I think it's a good start. I think what has to happen, CL, through agitation, if he kind of wavers a little bit, through agitation, we must push him toward greatness through agitation.
Mm-hmm. Keep watching.
I mean, I agree with him on everything, but we got to stay. You know, Doug said, this is no time for the friends of freedom to fold their arms and consider their work at an end. The price for liberty is eternal vigilance. So even with Donald Trump or anybody else, we got to stay vigilant. And then through agitation, we got to push him toward greatness, like Doug has pushed Lincoln toward greatness. Right.
And you know what? We are in that type of mindset in this country. When Lincoln was president, the Civil War is right under the American epidermis. It's right under our skin. Civil War. There are factions driven by folks like George Soros who are being paid to be in the street to do their special type of agitation. We must not fold our arms and be satisfied with just winning this election. What do you think?
Yeah, we got to learn how to engage. And we got to get in the trenches to engage. And I don't go out anywhere and try to engage people unless I cloak myself as Frederick Douglass. If not, you're going to be the victim of the propaganda machine. You're going to be attacked, and your voice will be minimized.
You have been on the wall, man, for many years now, and I thank you for the fight that you have been fighting. Give the website again, K. Carl Smith.
Sure. Hey, come up and sign up for the free video series. That website is diversityengagement.org. Once again, diversityengagement.org. And I apologize for the long URL.
Diversityengagement.org. Go there, check it out. You're going to need all types of tools and weapons to fight against the enemies of the Republic as we march toward the year 2020. The first 4 years of the Trump administration. K. Carl Smith has been my guest. God bless and keep you, man. We'll talk to you on the trail. I'll be giving you a call probably over the weekend, K. Carl. Talk to you.
Make sure you do that. We need to talk.
Okay, brother. All right. We'll be right back in just a few minutes here with more of the C.L. Bryant Show. I want to thank all of our sponsors for being there as we march toward the year 2020, the first 4 of the Trump administration. God only knows, and you know it's true, God only knows what these next 4 years will bring. But I tell you what, I don't know about tomorrow, but I know who holds tomorrow, and that's who I trust. God only knows. So let's move forward with faith as Americans. I'm CL. This is the CL Bryant Show. We're going to be back. I believe we're going to have Karen Watson coming up a little bit later on in the show, and that's going to be interesting because she engaged protesters while in Washington this past week. She engaged them. She and Michelle were both there in Washington, D.C., and you've got to hear her side of what happened. She was able to expose them for what they truly are. Gonna try to get Karen in here with me toward the in a few segments. So don't go anywhere. You want to hear this. I'm CL. Be right back.
I've been in the right place, but it must have been the wrong time. I done said the right thing, but it must have used the wrong line.
CL, back with you on this Friday. Hey, G, I like that one. Yeah. We have had an incredible show for you so far. I certainly hope that you check out K. Carl Smith there at his website. And I want to tell you something, folks. There is great opportunity now to build the bridge to conversation as we move forward in our modern day America. I talked about the two Americas, and on the line with me now is Karen Watson, an incredible woman who is conservative, Christian, let me put that in reverse. She is a Christian, conservative author and activist. She was in Washington, D.C. at the inauguration and was able to engage some of these folks who call themselves protesters. Karen Watson, welcome back to the C.L. Bryant Show. How have you been?
Oh, I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Always glad to have you, Karen. Let me ask you this now. You and my producer Michelle, of course, you guys have been fast friends for a long time. But
Yeah.
you were in Washington D.C. and you were able to see these protesters and pretty much expose them for who they were. Tell us about that, Karen. Tell us what happened.
Well, what was so crazy, CL, is that here I was at a table with Michelle, and then another woman who's Asian, and a black attorney, and a Hispanic attorney, and myself, and I just saw us as Americans. But there was another table of women who all happened to be white, who all happened to be probably post-60 in their age group, and they were upset about that we were going to the inauguration, and they were there to protest, and it was a very spirited conversation, to say the least. One, they were shocked that this much diversity could be, conservative Trump supporters
and women,
and they no diversity whatsoever. So yeah,
the most segregated aspect of politics, and folks, you won't believe this, but it's true. The most segregated aspect of politics has always emanated from the Democrat Party, and is because they have always tried to divide the haves from the have-nots, the black from the whites. That is their mantra. That's how they operate. Is that right, Karen?
Exactly. And what was so disheartening was the fact that they were very bent on causing destruction and chaos. That was the reason they were there. If you listen to all of the anger that was coming out of them, they never offered anything. They were just mad and upset. They were there to tear things down, but they never talked about, oh, well, we would really like XYZ, because they had no other agenda.
And that's what blows
really
my mind.
scary.
That's what blows my mind, Karen, is the anger that comes from that ravenous wing of the Democrat Party. And Chuck Schumer and all the rest of them seem to be actually the catalyst for that type of thinking. But this is the question I want to ask you. Why are they angry? Do they know? Do we know? I think I know, but you tell me, what's your take? Why?
I think it's groupthink. That's what it is. These are women, or these were women who were college professors, and they get into this little groupthink things, and they're all in these silos, and they don't believe that there could be another option. They don't believe that that Trump should even have an opportunity to see how he does. Let's see how he does. And, I know Hillary is probably looking at that and thinking, well, where were these people on November 8th? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We had an election. Trump won. Now it's time to move forward and heal the country. And if Trump doesn't do what he says he's going to do, then have an argument about that. But this was before the inauguration that we saw these women. So this was even, this was on the day of the inauguration before he got sworn in. So they had an agenda, and their agenda was not us.
You know what?
It was not America.
When I think about the scenario you gave us about you and Michelle and other women, Republican women sitting at one table, and I presume that this was in a restaurant or something that you guys were at.
Yes, it was in the hotel as we were getting ready to go to the swearing in.
And this is what gets me. I'm going to share this with you. When Jane and I were raising our children, and even when I was being raised, we had parents who allowed us to play outside, get muddy, and all that type thing. And my grandparents always said that was a good thing that we did, because we then had within our bloodstream and within our chemistry things to help fight off disease, because we had been exposed to it. You said something you said something just a minute ago, that these college professors, they're in their own silos, and the only thing that they hear is what they say to each other, and they begin to believe that is the only world there is. And then when they see somebody like you and Michelle and when they're exposed to something else, their minds don't know what to do with that, because they've been lying to themselves for so long.
That's exactly right. And I always say, if you think you're the smartest person in the room, you need to go to a new room.
Yeah.
These people they're isolated in their thought patterns, and yet they refuse to engage. I mean, there was this refusal to engage in another conversation. Michelle and I were talking to them about us being devout Christians. And, of course, that was to them almost hate speech.
Oh, my God.
And we mentioned to them, I kid you not, and we mentioned to them the love of Christ. And I said,
wow.
when Jesus left this planet to ascend into heaven, he left 2 commandments: to love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and spirit, and to love your neighbor as yourself.
That's right.
And yet, that is that beautiful message of the love of Christ was something that they were not willing or ready at that time to digest. And that's very sad.
And a lot of them were probably going to be a part of that march the next day. And this was a sign. I was talking to the GM here at our radio station in Town Square, and she told me that she saw a sign. I went online and I found this myself. She told me that she saw a sign in that march that said these words, Karen, if Mary had had an abortion, we wouldn't be in this mess. Can you if Mary had had an abortion, we wouldn't be in this mess. That does give you an idea of just how twisted they have gotten in that silo you were talking about. In that silo that they have actually gotten to that place where even the idea of the Virgin Mary has become something that they feel free to denigrate and to drag through the mud. That's where we are in this society at this point in time. And Karen, I want to talk to you after the break here about this. I just came off tour. I was in North Carolina, South Carolina, and down in Georgia. I've been to several different types of schools, alternative schools being one of them. But I do realize something. There is a definite brainwashing. There's a Stockholm syndrome that has occurred, and I want to talk to you about the antidote to that brainwashing when I come back, folks, with Karen Watson, author, Republican strategist extraordinaire. When I return, I'm CL. CL back on this Friday, gateway to the weekend. I want to thank each and every one of you throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth as we stream live. Our friends in southern Arkansas who listen to us by way of 101.7 FM as well as 710 Keel AM. We're on both the AM and the FM dials. Be sure to tune us in. And you folks up there in Wilmington, North Carolina, thank you there at WLTT 1180 for welcoming us into your family. Pittsburgh, Denver, as well as Phoenix. It's in the works. I'm telling you, it is in the works, and it won't be long before you'll hear the voice of the CL Bryant Show on your air there as well. I've been on with Karen Watson, who is an attorney and also a Republican strategist, conservative, and just by way of full disclosure, she and I are both black conservatives. And Karen, let me give you and I a chance now to tell folks how to get a hold of your thoughts. How do we get a hold of you if people want to have you out to speak or what have you? She's a great speaker, by the way.
Oh, thank you, CL. I mean, I'm just honored. You're like a mentor to me and to so many other black conservatives who are trying to wake people up and stop the silliness and this horrible groupthink. But people can reach out to me on my Facebook page, which is Karen Watson. They can connect with me through GOPbuzz.com. And then they can also email me at karen.watson@gopbuzz.com.
Fantastic, folks. Be sure to go there, check it out. Now, Karen, we were talking about the Stockholm syndrome. That's where, and folks, just so you'll know, bring you up to speed here. Stockholm syndrome is where someone is, say, let's kidnap. Patty, those of you who are old enough to remember Patty Hearst. Patty Hearst was kidnapped by the Symbionese Liberation Army. Okay, before you know it, she was a victim, I guess you could say, of Stockholm syndrome, whereas she began to identify with her captives. And she had become brainwashed, and they brainwashed her into robbing a bank with them. And even after she was liberated, she fought against those who had liberated her. Karen, when I go on to college campuses, when I go into high schools, and when I speak to groups of people where everyone is invited, and that can be as few as 200, that could be as many as 200,000 that we speak to. But this is what I see. Whenever there's pushback, there's always pushback from people that you have been talking about this morning, people who have lived in their own silo. They are brainwashed, and anyone coming along to try and liberate them, tell them they can be free, they fight against them. They don't want to hear it. They go like the little kid who puts his fingers in his ear and go blah, 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 blah. I won't hear it.
Right.
That's what happens, Karen. And listen, you got to help me break this thing. We've got to do this, because we have an opportunity now with DJT, Donald J. Trump, in the White House. What are you thinking about this new administration?
I am excited. I am thrilled, and I am thankful for what you're doing. And I would so be honored to hang out with you and go on those great tours that you're going to. What I have found out, that exactly what the Bible has said, is that we have to set people free, and it's the truth that sets you free. You know, Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. What we have got to do is get the truth to people, just the unabashed truth, because that will set people free. The lies of the left are continuing, but they have no foundation. That's why they had no message. That's why they have no thing that is convincing people. There's a lot of anger and there's a lot of groupthink. But when you pull people aside and you get them to the truth does set people free. And we have got to tell the truth about this great country of ours, the truth about this nation that would risk almost 1 million of its own citizens to end that horrible institution of slavery. The thing is that the left doesn't want to tell the truth. They don't want to tell the truth about themselves. They don't want to tell the truth about us. That's why they were so offended to see Michelle, myself, a black Republican attorney, another Hispanic Republican attorney, and an Asian, first American Asian. How are we connected? How can we sit and have a conversation about the hope for this country and the hope for our new president? It blew their mind.
The Republican Party is not.
The
Republican Party is not supposed to look like that. Is that what you're saying to them?
Exactly.
Because
we're supposed to be angry with them, and they don't even tell you why they're angry.
Right.
They're just filled with hate. But when you start talking about the truth, that will set people free.
Absolutely right. Karen Watson, I want to thank you for being on with me. And listen, God bless you and God keep you in your endeavors. And give us your Facebook page again.
You can find me at Karen Watson. My Facebook page is Being Black and Republican in the Age of Obama. And, of course, email me at karen.watson@gopbuzz.com. God bless you, CL.
Talk to you
God
soon.
God bless you, and I thank God for you.
Bless you, Karen. Talk to you soon. Yeah, folks, we have been on with Karen Watson, and we're going to be back with my good friend, California Ted Hayes. Since we do have a lot of stuff cooking as far as immigration is concerned, California Ted Hayes is the man we need to call up and talk to, and we will. Now, I was thinking I was over this cough, but somehow until I'm truly, over the cold, I guess the cough is going to be hanging around. But anyway, I'm going to soldier right on through this, take off this jacket because it's kind of warm. But just the same, I certainly hope that you understand that there is a fight that we are in, that we can win, and we will win this fight if we are vigilant. I want to re-examine some things that Kay Carl had talked about as far as the reasoning behind why you don't hear the names. And listen, Black History Month is coming up. It's going to be very interesting to see how that is approached in 2017, now that the presidential era of Obama has passed. I'll be back. I'm CL.
Jump so high, jump so high, and then it lightly touched down. I met him in a sail in New Orleans, I was.
The age, the presidential age of Obama is over, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this shakes out, especially during this coming Black History Month. He's not going to go away. I assure you that. In fact, I would not be surprised if the resurgence of Barack Obama is initiated here within the next few days, starting on the first day of Black History Month. I can assure you that there is probably going to be a rally by the progressive liberals, the Democrats, around his name. He did leave office with a very high approval rating. Yeah, he did. He did. I don't know how, but I guess the same polls that said Hillary was going to win the presidency gave him those approval ratings. Yeah, anyway, he left with a very high approval rating. And so there's going to be a rally. You look forward to this. There's going to be a rally around Barack Obama. They can't rally around Hillary. They won't rally around Frederick Douglass. They won't rally around Booker T. Washington. Of course, Dr. King is an icon that they have used to convey a narrative that has been turned into a hustle, because so much of the stuff that they use, they invoke the name of Dr. Martin Luther King for, King never stood for. Never stood for. And there has been a certain rewriting of history when we talk about certain historical figures. Now, the other interest is going to be is how DJT, Donald J. Trump, will approach Black History Month. Don't you think that people are not going to be watching for that? I can tell you this. There won't be any I don't feel no ways tired moments from DJT. No. I think, and listen, you know how the president was vilified for saying this to the black community. What have you got to lose? Give me a shot. What have you got to lose? Well, in the new resurgent America, in the new resurging America, those who won't come out and play in the new economy that's coming about, if you don't go and actually apply for those jobs that are going to be coming about on that new pipeline, I don't care if you're red, yellow, black, or white, whoever you are. If you don't come out and play, that's no fault of the new administration. That's your fault. But there has been a concerted effort to keep people in perpetual victimhood, perpetual victimization. I used this early on in the show. They won't let me succeed. They are keeping me down. They don't want me to succeed. That is having a sledgehammer taken to it at this point in time. In fact, there are a lot of us who have our own little sledges, 10-pound, 20-pound sledges in our hands, and we travel the country taking whacks at that progressive liberal concrete block that have the feet of so many would-be free people ensnared, encased in that concrete block of liberalism. We take sledges to them. We try to chip them out. But the more we try to crack away at that, sometimes the more the people who are encased say, don't hit it anymore. We don't want to be cracked out. We're comfortable in this cement. What has happened, though, is that they're being dragged, they're being driven to the edge of a cliff where the ocean is below them. And it seems as though, they don't really don't care if they get thrown off that cliff into the abyss of chaos, because they are willing pawns. They are willing pawns for social engineers like George Soros. Yeah, willing pawns for social engineers like George Soros. You see it in the streets. And, I never thought that American women could be so, when you've been brainwashed by that progressive liberal mindset, I guess you're open to just about anything. But I'm talking about a couple of days ago and on the Wednesday show, I mentioned vulgarity. I mentioned how vulgar these women are. And I was appalled at just how out flat vulgar they were. Madonna. No, the worst thing that she said was not, I've been thinking about blowing up the White House. It was the F-bombs that she was throwing out there. And it was the idea that somehow she is some kind of role model for young women. Yeah, Madonna's in her 50s now. Hard to believe, but she is. She's in her 50s now. And she and Cher, who's in her 70s now, are still Susan Sarandon. They're the role models. I'll be back with California Ted.
Don't let me hear you say life's taking you nowhere.
CL, back with you on the weekend show. It is Friday and the gateway to the weekend. I certainly hope that all of you have a safe and happy weekend throughout the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known. I want to welcome aboard all of our friends in Wilmington, North Carolina, our friends in southern Arkansas and East Texas, and throughout the fruited plains of America. Now, you folks in Pittsburgh, you folks in Phoenix, and you folks in Denver, we're coming your way real soon. And as soon as I get a chance to hook up with California Ted, I certainly hope that we can find a way out to the left coast and see if we can't spread our message out there. Joining me now is California Ted Hayes, as I call him, Ted Hayes, who is not only an advocate for the homeless, but he is a watchdog of this encroaching people who are invading from the South, and certainly California has become an occupied land. California Ted, welcome back to the CL Bryant Show. How have you been, man?
Thank you very much. Getting through my my knee operation, finally starting to feel a little bit better here.
Ted,
yeah.
Wow, you had a knee operation.
Occupied L.A.
Wow, that's where you are.
Yeah, I had a knee operation. They had to rebuild a whole new knee for me back on December 14th. So I've been kind of dragging around here, crying the blues and cutting the blues, carrying on. So I'm a little better now.
So you're bionic. You're bionic now, huh?
Yeah, man. I'll give you a 20-yard head start on a 100-yard run. I smoke you, man.
I bet it. Let me ask you this, Ted, because I want to veer toward a topic that you and I talk about sometimes, but not often. You know, there was this march last Saturday in D.C. You had all these women there, and you had some Hollywood types out there that you're familiar with, like Madonna, like Susan Sarandon, and people like that. Ted, these are women who are being held up as role models to young people who always talk filthy and who always seem to be angry about something. Ted, when we see these people coming in to our country, and they have those type people held up to them as to who to emulate, and when we see our young people coming off college campuses as to who to emulate, Ted, can we sustain that type of civilization, or will that type of attitude in America destroy our foundation? What do you think?
Well, you got to consider the source, ultimately, where all of this is coming from. This is a socialist movement. This is the foreign socialist movement that's been intent to destroy the capitalist enterprise nation, the freedom that we have since 1850. They've been tracking us, and they've used the racial divide in the country very effectively right up to Barack Obama. And, of course, they use these women. And what they're doing also, I'm realizing, this is a fight between white men and white women. And if you notice, it was primarily white, Anglo-English-speaking white women out there with a few others, and very few black people, if you notice that. This is something that we black folks and others, we've been caught up between a fight between white men and white women. Of course, the white women that you see out there are socialist-driven.
Wow.
Very simple.
Wow, that is an incredible way of looking at that, Ted, and that's very insightful to look at it that way. You know, Black History is coming up, and you talk about the race card that is played. Do you think that the resurrection of Barack Obama will occur all during the month of February? How do you think that they will use him now that he is out of office? Do you think that they'll use this time during February, the month of February, to resurrect Obama?
You know, it would be smart on Mr. Obama's part to lay low, keep his mouth shut, stay out of the fray. He's in enough trouble as it is. By the time Mr. Trump launches secret investigations on who this man was or is, because we still don't know who Barack Obama is. We still don't know. So he needs to be quiet, and I think they'd be foolish to put him out there, because what that will do then is it will galvanize the Trump revolution and get guys like me and others begin to come out and speak more about how crooked Barack Obama is and how he has done more damage to black people than any other president in the history of the United States. So he needs to keep his mouth shut, go play golf, go swimming, stay out the fray.
Are black people...
I would be foolish on their part to put him out there.
Are black people ready to actually accept the truth about Obama, or is that something that folks like yourself, myself, and others in this country, or is that something that we're going to have to continue to walk out on that limb and talk about in order for them to I guess begin to try and smell the coffee? Do you think I guess this is my question, Ted, when will black folks be ready to hear the truth about Obama?
I just wrote, well, first of all, I just finished a letter I've been talking about in other broadcasts, and I sent you a copy and Michelle a copy of an open letter I sent to Mr. Obama a while back, called Mr. Trump, you just might be the second Abraham Lincoln. Now, going to this whole discourse about how when Lincoln passed away, the night he died, the primary issue that was on that man's mind was black people, their freedom from slavery, gaining their proper citizenship, and the power to vote to maintain their citizenship and keep themselves out of slavery. And I said to Mr. Trump, you got great ideas, but if you keep invoking the name of Abraham Lincoln, then you must pick off where Abraham Lincoln died. You have to make the matter of black lives in this country your number one issue, and the rest of your cabinet matters have to circle around that as Abraham Lincoln did if you really want to save the Union, because this is the matter between God and you right now, and you keep talking about God. So I think and I also want to say, now, Mr. Trump, you know, we heard you. You spoke to us more directly than any other presidential candidate, Republican or Democrat, since Abraham Lincoln. So we heard you, and we like what you're saying, but we don't trust you, even though some of us voted for you. But sir, prove it to us. So I think on the positive side, more than knocking Barack Obama, on the positive side, because people like to save their face. They don't want to admit that they're wrong. As Trump gets brighter and brighter and brighter, eventually the black folks in this country will move. I meet with a group now every Monday night. We have a phone conference with different folks across the nation, and we're discussing all of this, and more black people are warming up to Donald Trump. I think what will happen is we will have to, the light will reveal what Barack Obama was and was not to us. You turn on the light and the darkness will flee.
You're absolutely right.
We don't have.
You're absolutely right. They
he
go
has knocked himself.
and all the little creepy crawly things in the darkness. Once you turn the light on it, they run for corners. Too, Ted.
Because I find if you keep going directly at if you go directly at anybody who has done something wrong and they know they're wrong, they will begin to defend themselves and defend their faith and defend a wrong position. So there's no need to keep attacking Barack Obama. Focus on getting Mr. Trump to do what he said he would do, and that will finish off Barack Obama.
I agree with that.
Good.
Ted, can you stay with me through the break?
I would be honored to, sir.
Hold on. We'll be back with California Ted Hayes in just a little bit. I want to talk to him, engage him on this immigration issue and Trump's approach to it. I'm CL. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. CL, back with Ted Hayes on the left coast. Ted, give us your website. Tell us how to get a hold of you and your thoughts and what's going on in Ted Hayes' world. Give us an idea.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Y'all, everybody, you can meet me. Yeah, I guess so. You can kind of meet me at my website, tedhayes.us. Simple as that, tedhayes.us. And let me also say, CL, that I'm become a very active member of a black think tank group called Project 21, based in Washington, D.C., and they've been helping me a lot getting my message out there. And also a lot of the talk show hosts that I've spoken to, they said, well, has Mr. Trump heard you or called on you yet? I said, no, sir, and I just don't know quite how to get to him. They said, tell you what, send us some information. We have ways. You need to get before Mr. Trump. He needs to hear what you're talking about.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. Project 21 is a wonderful group to be involved with, Ted. So you do that. You absolutely do that. Now, let's talk about the immediate building of the wall that Trump has laid down the gauntlet to Congress and saying, hey, we're going to do this. Now, is that realistic in your opinion? Is that the right thing to do in your opinion? Especially you living in occupied Los Angeles. Talk to us about what you'd say to the president about building this wall and the overrun of Los Angeles.
Well, Mr. Trump, as president, chief executive officer, and commander-in-chief of our armed forces, he has no choice. There is no compromise. He must obey the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, 1848, which was signed to end hostilities of the Mexican-American War. And in that treaty, it says in Article 5, Article 7, Article 16, and Article 21 that both republics can and should have all the authority they deem necessary, even if necessary military might, to protect their borders, and that treaty cannot be changed without the consent of the people of each republic. He has no choice. There is no negotiation. And if Mr. President from Mexico don't want want to come up here and work with Mr. Trump, who could help him to better his country, tough.
Yeah.
Trump has to still build that wall because, again, Article 4 of the Constitution, Section 4, says that the President of the United States is supposed to defend every state, therefore every city and its citizens, from invasion and domestic violence. He has no choice. There is no compromise. There is no negotiation when it comes to this issue.
Trump was saying something to DHS yesterday, Ted, that I find very, very interesting because I hadn't heard a president, surely not a president in the last 8 years, say this. He said, you as law enforcement agents for a long time have not been able to do your jobs, but from now on you will be able to enforce the laws strongly. Is that the right message that they're sending to folks in Los Angeles in lieu of the fact that they have not been enforcing laws in that sanctuary city?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Go back to the issue again of when a foreign country invades our borders, Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution. The citizens are affected, especially us black U.S. citizens. We are catching it bad. Trump himself said illegal immigration, the invasion, hurts black people worse than anybody else, and that's where we live in these sanctuary cities, the cities that were once ours. And just because the mayor and local city governments and governors want to become domestic enemies and ally with the foreign invaders, that still says to Mr. Trump and the federal government, you still have to go in there and rescue the citizens thereof, period.
And so you're saying that the citizens in Los Angeles, particularly those who happen to be black, are actually being held hostage by the invaders from the South, from Mexico. That is truly happening. And we've talked to you on several occasions. You have never wavered. You have never faltered on that issue itself. There is an invasion that has occurred in Los Angeles.
Yes, there's no question about it. It's so bad that the gangs now are threatening, and what was once black neighborhoods, threatening black folks, you need to leave. And when the black folks, say in Compton, will call the police, and tell them what's going on, the police say, yeah, you need to leave because we cannot protect you. Therefore, according to the 14th Amendment, the Civil Rights Act of 1866, Section 5, Section 8.
Well, we lost Ted Hayes there. Jay will get him back here in just a minute. Something went wrong with the connection. We lost him, but we'll get him back. But this is one thing that we must understand. It's one thing we must continue to talk about. And that is, if we cut back on foreign aid to Mexico, because we give Mexico a lot of foreign aid. We lost Ted Hayes there. Jay, get him back up for me if you would. And so the thing that we must understand is that this is a fight that we are in that will, in fact, impact us all if, in fact, we are not vigilant. Vigilance is something that we are going to have to be. Vigilant is something that we are going to have to be if we want to maintain our republic. I'm going to try to squeeze out the last few minutes with Ted when we return. I'm CL. Don't go anywhere.
Night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide. Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other.
CL, I don't know what happened, Ted. It sounded like a meteor hit you, man, and you were gone. And so we got you back here now.
I was pouring my heart out to you, brother.
Yeah.
I'm talking to the air.
And but listen, we got you back now. And listen, Ted, I want to ask you about this because I certainly want to get this in before we have to say goodbye today.
Sure.
The people are asking how in the world are we going to pay for all this thing as far as the wall is concerned and the building of it and the more ICE agents, Border Patrol agents, and that type of thing. The foreign aid that we give to countries like Mexico is huge.
Yes.
Is it not possible that we cut back on, because Trump is adamant about them paying for it. I'm thinking that he is talking about cutting back on foreign aid to Mexico and perhaps other countries like that. Do you think that that's a possibility as far as a way to finance this thing?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Trump's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. This guy's no dummy here. People want to say he's a dummy, but underestimate him. No, there are so many ways that Trump will cause Mexico to pay for that wall, and they need to pay for that wall. You know, every year, $18 billion of our money through the invaders and occupiers goes back into Mexico.
Yeah.
These folks are not here to become one of us, to be different if they were. They're here to rape and to plunder and send it back to Mexico. That's why the Mexican government wants it to go on. $18 billion a year. So, yes, Mr. Trump can do almost anything he wants to get that money back.
All right. Ted, give your website one more time. I certainly appreciate you being on with me. And listen, man, tomorrow evening, if you would call me, I guess around your time, 8 to 10, anywhere in there, your 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock your time, you'll call me. I'll be available. Give me a holler.
Absolutely, because we really need to get you out here, CL, to see with your own eyes the occupation of Los Angeles. I think it'll just impassion you all the more, and you need to share this with the whole country because it's coming to your neighborhood.
I want to see it. I want to see it, and so
bring a cameraman with you.
Oh, I will. Don't worry. And but listen, God bless you, and God keep you is my prayer. Ted, give us your website one more time,
folks. That's That's tedhayes.us. Tedhayes.us. Easy name to remember, tedhayes.us.
That's Hayes.
Yes, sir.
Ted Hayes, God bless and keep you, man. I'll talk to you tomorrow evening. Oh, well, no, that'll be Saturday. Yeah, tomorrow evening. And thank you so much. God bless you and God keep you.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
I'm CL. We're going to be back here in just a little bit, and I want to close the show pretty much the way I began it, by talking to us as Americans. We can, and that's the new message of America. And as far as the invasion is concerned, it has happened. There are people here, and I don't know if we're going to have to learn to live with this reality or not. Ted seems to think that there are solutions to it. And I really want to investigate this for myself. That's why I am going to take a trip out to Los Angeles and see this for myself. This incredible invasion. I used to live out there. Jane and I used to live out there many, many years ago. And of course, you have a presence, a Latin presence in Los Angeles. I mean, it's Los Angeles. But what Ted is talking about, and what Americans are talking about, and what Trump is wanting us to make sure we fight by building these deterrents, these walls, and increasing Border Patrol, is an invasion. We're needing to fight an invasion that is going on. And so I want to see what has happened from the time that I have lived there. I've been there for funerals and so forth, but I haven't really spent any time on the ground in Los Angeles. Since we shot runaway slave some 3 years ago, we spent time, we weren't really in Los Angeles. We were down toward Oceanside and San Diego and up in East Hollywood, West Hollywood, and places like that. But I want to see what he's talking about. I want to see Compton. I want to see a Latino Compton. I want to see a Latino Inglewood. They tell me that even Watts is becoming Latino. These were, and if they can overrun even places like that, there is nothing that they can overrun. They cannot overrun if this invasion from the south continues. Knowing that there were so many people who tried to make it into this country before Obama left office. There was an absolute blitz for the Southern American border before Obama left office. And not all of them went to Los Angeles or South Texas. There is a spreading out, a fingering out that's going on in this country. And so I want to see this. We need to have the information on how this is happening. I want to talk to some Latin people that are there. That's why I'm learning Spanish. We're going to have to learn the language because they're here. And the dialogue, as the president is setting it up, President Trump is setting it up, there's going to have to be dialogue between us and them. I'm CL. Be back to wrap it up.
When you wake up in the morning and the light is...
CL here to close it out on this weekend show. Listen, one of the things that I'm really impressed with right now is a new spirit of protecting our people, Americans, by whatever means necessary. That's what I am encouraged about. I am interested in our young women being able to walk the streets again. Not in in safety. I'm interested in them being able to go to malls, our wives and families being able to go to malls and enjoy American life again. We can do that. I like the idea when it comes to protecting ourselves against terrorism that Donald Trump is saying to us, hey, waterboarding, yeah, if it calls for that, yes, let's do it. Torture, hey, the last president said that's not us. Hey, when it comes to protecting us, when it comes to sending a message that we won't put up with people bothering us or our families, when it comes to that, by whatever means necessary, I am for it. Do you know why? Because when you send that message, you don't have to do it. That's the purpose of spanking. The purpose of spanking is not so much to spank. The purpose of spanking is so that you don't have to spank. It sounds odd, but it works. It worked for me anyway. It worked on me. You know. And even scripture tells us that you spare the spanking, you spare the rod, you spoil the child. And so that's the purpose in sending messages to folks that there are consequences, harsh consequences for your actions. You send that message and then you do it. If they're caught transgressing, so that you don't have to do it. Because the message is sent that if you do this, this is what you get. So you don't have to do that. You can go on and be more productive in other ways. And Lord knows that America, we have so much more to do than torture folks. Well, I want to thank God for bringing us to the close of yet another week. It's been a great American week. And I want to thank him for our men and women in uniform around the globe who defend our right to speak our mind. And until I'm able to talk to you again, I'm CL. And may God bless and keep you all.
And the